Mount Vernon, winter 1763.
George Washington sits beside a flickering fire, a letter from London in his hand.
No gunshots.
No battle.
Only the dry rustle of paper and the feeling that something has just broken.
7 years of bloodshed for a promise.
Defeat the French, and the West will belong to us.
Zhao, victory has arrived.
But the letter, the Royal Proclamation of 1763, says something else.
Do not cross the Appalachians. Those already settled must leave. At least gunpowder tells you where danger is. But a letter can turn victory into ash. Washington reads it again, slowly, stubbornly. Not anger, doubt. I doubt what they think victory means. I doubt the Empire understands the land it claims to rule.
He survived the frontier war, where London's rules dissolved like smoke.
Now London draws a boundary to prevent disaster. Settlers push west, violence follows, garrisons expand, and the empire bleeds money. Strategists call it containment, officials call it order, but Washington feels betrayal. He looks at the boundary like an enemy position. Not because he wants rebellion tonight, but because he sees the war shifting from land to power. This wasn't brute force. This was terrain, timing, and deception. But how did this battlefield becode a weapon?
If you want to understand how war shaped our world, stay with us. If you want the next forgotten world, subscribe, and we'll uncover it together.
Here's the puzzle, and it's deadly simple.
How did Britain try to turn the Appalachians into a wall? And accidentally turn George Washington into the kind of leader who would break an empire?
Because the battle isn't only fought with muskets.
It's fought with routes, permits, patrols, and the math of enforcement.
A state can draw any line it wants. The real question is whether the land and the people will obey it.
The line is announced as peace, but functions like a trap. A trap for loyalty. And the first clue appears before the battle even starts.
It's 1763.
Britain has just won the 7 Years' War.
And inherited a continent-sized interior. Vast, forested, and expensive to control.
On paper, the Empire is bigger than ever.
In reality, it is deep in debt, thin on troops, and staring at a frontier that fights like smoke.
That unrest, often grouped as Pontiac's War, shows how fragile control really is.
Hey, come down here!
Sources differ on how centralized it was.
But it exposes an ugly truth.
You can hold coastal cities and still lose the interior.
Because the interior is a logistics war.
Who is trapped in the pressure cooker? British leadership in London needs stability without paying forever.
Frontier garrisons are outnumbered by distance, not by men.
Indigenous nations fight to stop settlement from becoming permanent loss.
Settlers and land companies believe the West is their reward.
And Washington watches ink redefine the future.
It's the gateway. Mountain gaps, river corridors, and the nodes that anchor movement.
Whoever controls those nodes controls the flow of people, trade, and survival.
A patrol that arrives late is not a patrol, it's a rumor. The Appalachians don't stop movement.
They channel it into choke points.
And every mile west multiplies cost. Food, powder, transport, wages.
Politics pulls in 3 directions at once. Colonists want land.
Indigenous nations want borders that mean something.
And everyone believes time is running out. Because on the frontier, delay is loss. Cut to London. A heavy wooden map table under oil lamp light. Wax-sealed packets. Quills. Pins marking forts.
A minister watches as if the map is a battlefield board.
This is the reform.
Not a new weapon, but a new system.
A boundary line, controlled trade, a fort posture, permits, enforcement.
The Empire is trying to win peace through geometry. So the commander makes a decision that looks insane until you see the map.
Beat A. Read the terrain.
Britain looks at the Appalachians and decides, stop people at the funnels.
At the gaps.
At the river's headwaters.
But the land refuses to behave like a clean border.
There are too many paths.
Local guides.
Too many local guides.
Too many unofficial trails.
The mountains are not a wall.
They are a filter!
Washington understands this immediately.
To him, the frontier isn't a line.
It's a network. Paths, fords, ports, and supply nodes.
Control the nodes, and you control the war. Beat B. Shape the animal's choices.
Britain tells colonists, you won.
But the line quietly redefines what winning means.
Britain tells indigenous nations, this line protects you.
But without full enforcement, it risks becoming a promise that invites betrayal.
Britain tells frontier officers, hold the interior. But the Empire is too broke to fully fund it. Everyone is cornered into a choice that hurts.
Obey and lose opportunity!
Cross and become illegal. Enforce and spark anger.
Ignore and spark war.
Somewhere inside that trap, Washington's doubt starts to harden into calculation.
And the most dangerous sound on the frontier isn't a musket, it's a whisper. The line isn't real.
Washington doesn't raise a weapon, and he just realizes the Empire may have drawn a border it can't afford to defend.
Beat C. Lock the trap.
Britain locks the reform package.
The Royal Proclamation of 1763 restricts settlement west of the line.
7, 8, 9, 10, quick march! A fort and garrison posture to secure key nodes.
Trade and permitting logic to regulate movement. On paper, it's perfect.
In the field is a trap made of distance.
Every patrol needs food. Every fort needs powder. Every administrator needs local cooperation.
And every mile west multiplies cost. Now it's just one question. Will the enemy step exactly where you want?
This is where you see the battle for what it really is. A system clash.
Night.
No heroic music, just wheels and mud, and a baby trying not to cry.
They move through a gap that isn't on any official road. Their possessions are humble. Blankets, seed sacks, a pot, a broken chair tied down with rope.
They stop at a shallow creek, water black as ink.
Just a little farther.
On the far bank, he drives a stake into the ground.
Not a flag, not a declaration. Just proof that their hands can still move.
Behind them, a patrol's call bounces off the hills. Too far to see, close enough to hurry. If the law can't catch a wagon in the dark, what exactly is the Empire ruling?
The first contact is not a cannon.
It's a survey stake driven into forbidden soil.
It's a wagon turning into a mountain pass. It's a patrol delivering a warning.
It's an official pretending not to see.
And in Virginia, Washington watches the pattern.
The line exists, yet people move as if it doesn't.
Britain tries to impose rhythm, permits, warnings, patrols.
Punishments!
But the frontier breaks rhythm by design. Crossings happen at night, in small groups, through dozens of gaps.
Enforcement becomes reactive, always late, always stretched. And every enforcement action creates fuel, humiliation,
Resentment.
And the feeling of being managed by people who don't live on the edge of danger.
The most dangerous moment is when people stop arguing about policy.
And start arguing about dignity. Legitimacy begins to bleed.
In that moment, the fight stops being about land and becomes about who gets to say no.
Washington feels it before he can name it. Dignity is turning into strategy.
And once people learn the Crown can't enforce a line, every future order starts to sound optional.
The pivot isn't a cavalry charge.
It's a psychological switch.
Washington's shift is subtle, but it changes everything.
He starts to see the empire not as a roof, but as a hand on the wheel.
The frontier teaches him the core truth of power.
Control isn't what you announce.
Control is what you can supply, enforce, and persuade.
The Proclamation Line reveals the Empire's weakness.
It can draw lines faster than it can make them real. And once people learn that, the line becomes more than geography.
It becomes a test.
Once the line fails as a control system, dominoes start to fall.
Settlers treat the boundary as negotiable. Dohun.
Local elites learn they can resist without immediate collapse.
Indigenous nations see promised protection erode.
Britain pays for a policy that satisfies no one.
The line was meant to reduce war.
Instead, it reshapes the battlefield into a conflict over who gets to decide.
And when a government loses the argument over who decides,
It usually loses the next argument, too.
But the victory has a price, and the bill arrives fast. It ends not with a final shot, but with a silence that feels like a verdict.
the room hasn't changed. Same wood, same smoke, same candlelight.
But the emotion has.
He watched the line fail at the only place that matters, the human heart.
Because people did not stop.
Cabins appear beyond the boundary.
Survey stakes move.
Local officials look away.
Dawn, mist hangs over the river like breath.
Below, new tracks press into soft ground. Fresh axe marks cut into trunks.
He remembers the promise. Maybe the tide would stop.
But the promise arrives on paper, and the people arrive in boots.
His trust doesn't break with a scream.
It breaks with a quiet certainty. If the boundary can't hold, only choices remain.
This is the decision chain that makes revolution feel inevitable.
First, Britain wins a massive war and inherits a continent-sized problem.
Then it draws the Proclamation Line to reduce cost and stabilize the frontier.
colonists resist because the line blocks land, wealth, and the meaning of victory. Britain tries to govern harder because a law you can't enforce becomes weakness.
Trust breaks.
And when trust breaks, every new measure feels less like governance and more like control.
Leaders emerge who understand authority isn't a flag, it's a relationship. One cost arrives immediately. Britain must fund garrisons and enforcement while paying war debt.
That pressure pushes harder governance and tighter control.
One seed of the next disaster is planted. Legitimacy fractures on all sides.
Colonists learn to question authority, indigenous nations learn to doubt promises, and the empire learns to answer political problems with administrative force.